do it. I got the heart of a champion. I got the heart of a champion. I got the heart of a champion, and I will not give up.
Give up, why I've been fighting all my life just to get a little taste or a slice of that pie. I train hard to play hard, even on my off days I stay on to rise above the weakness that I prey on. I'm over for the sunlight till the day's gone. The early bird gets the craze, and the bookworm gets the brain, and I'ma get it all.
And I've been waiting all my life just for this one night to show I can do it. So let's get to it. I got the heart of a champion. I got the heart of a champion. I got the heart of a champion. I will not give up.
Hello and welcome to the Clark Athletic Center for a matchup between a pair of teams with 3 consecutive victories. My name is Seth Rensky, joined by Steve Witkowski. And Steve, when you look at these two sides, a pair of teams coming off of 9 victories, but both teams off to really strong starts, 3 consecutive wins, and we should be looking at a rather high-scoring game for Division III women's basketball. Both teams coming in averaging well over 70 points a game.
Yeah, and I mean, when you look at how they get their points, it's basically the same way. They like to have up-tempo offenses, and they're both very good three-point shooters. I mean, on the Beacons, obviously you have Dixon and Grassie that really showed their abilities last game here against Colby-Sawyer College.
Becker College.
Right
colors, wrong team.
Yes, right colors, wrong team, but really displayed their talents behind the arc last game, and obviously it's going to be an exciting one tonight.
UMass Boston had put up 96 points and 90 points in their 2 games prior to the win over Becker. On the other side, we're looking at a Fitchburg State team that went over the century mark a couple weeks ago. They've averaged 92 points per game and 10 made threes in their last 3 wins, moving to 3-2 on the season. We'll take a look at the team stats right now, and the offenses have been potent. The one thing to watch, though, is the rebounding. UMass Boston at +12, Fitchburg State at -2. But Fitchburg State's been really good the last couple of games. 19 offensive rebounds or more in each of their past 3, 56 rebounds or more. So this is a team that might be rebounding a little bit better as the season goes along.
Yeah, looking at the Beacons team, Joey Grassi, and you have Gianna Williams, who really stepped up last game against Becker College, doing a great job under the boards with Grassi out with foul trouble. I would say look at Gianna Williams to kind of step up this game and definitely have a presence under the boards.
This Fitchburg State team doesn't run all that big. They don't have a 6-footer on the roster. The Beacons have a couple, but they've mostly been going with some of their slightly smaller bigs, the 5'9", 5'10" variety, who have been rebounding the ball extremely well. Both teams very young. UMass Boston with just 3 returners, a pair of seniors, and a sophomore. For Fitchburg State, they only have 5 upperclassmen on their 14-woman roster, and they didn't bring back the top 2 point scorers and rebounders from a year ago. Kira Rose, the team's NASCAC Rookie of the Year, not back for this season. They hope to have her back next year. And then Caitlin Rizzuto was injured, is not enrolled in school. So team's top 2 players. It's been a lot of freshmen for both sides having to step up here to begin the 2017-18 season.
Yeah, when you talk about the height difference, that didn't really change the Beacons game last game when they played Becker College. Obviously, they were a little bigger than Becker College, but they still stuck to their game of staying behind the arc and knocking down 3-pointers and getting transitional baskets resulted from their defense.
Some of the players who have stepped up, you've mentioned her a couple times, Joey Grassi, one of the top players in the entire Little East Conference, the Beacons' leading scorer and rebounder, also the team's top shooter and 3-point shooter. On the other side, Angelina Marazzi, the St. Anselm transfer, didn't play a lot last year at Division II, has made an immediate impact at the Division III level for this Fitchburg State side.
And a team, a player that wasn't on that list for UMass Boston is Dixon. She's really been hot. Obviously, had Rookie of the Week last week for UMass Boston and really showcased her skills here Tuesday night against Becker College. Had a tough first half and then knocked down a bunch of threes in the second half.
Dixon and Joey Grassi each had over 10 points in the second half as the Beacons outscored the Becker College Hawks 40-29 to earn the victory. And right now we'll take a look at the highlights from that one as the Beacons earn their 3rd straight win to improve to 4-1 on the year.
7-2. Here's a 3. Cassidy Harris, looking to push. Here's the senior, Katie Matthew. Double looking side. Falling tight. All on against him. Look at what Dixon. Champion Hanover High School. The all. Inside. Jonas takes it away from his heel. He's pushing on the fast break. Bouncer to Matthew. She's got to get real. Rossi penetrates. Three-pointer for the first half. Here's Megan Dixon. No one around her. Finds the cutter. That's a horrible drive. Matthew for Rossi. Good. Points early in this third quarter. Beacons by 7. Adriana down 4-3. Nice whistle bring us to the Gary. Triplett for Thornton with his pushes. Dixon into the corner. Kelsey wide open.
We'll find out what it's
He's out. Oregon goal. Offseason. No! And a rebound. Down by Vital. Kelsey.
Dixon on camera right there. Dixon, our player to watch, as Dixon is coming off a couple of great games in a row. 21 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists for UMass Boston, the win against Fisher. She had a team-high 14 the other night, including 4 threes on 8 attempts in the victory over Becker. And you look at the numbers on Megan Dixon, double-digit points in 3 straight. She's led the Beacons in the past 2. Had a phenomenal career at Hanover High School, winning 4 league titles, and she's one of the handful of players that the Beacons recruited from the Cape Cod Bulls, an AAU team down by the Cape that has helped UMass Boston so much. She played along players like Joey Grassi and Alicia Quinones, a group that has really helped this Beacons team, and a lot of credit has to go to Jesus Rodriguez, one of the Beacons' assistant coaches, joining the Beacons staff. Look at the infusion of talent. I think it's 5 players on the roster, including a lot of players who are making huge impact for this team early on in the year.
Yeah, definitely exciting freshman class. I mean, you talk about last year, coming into this year, you didn't really know who was going to return. A lot of returners leaving, some seniors, some people just leaving the program as a whole, and you're basically stuck with Quinones and Raven Kelsey and Katie Matthew. And you get this transfer, Lydia Vital, and a great group of freshmen that are competing at a high level early in the season.
Right now, we're going to take a look at the Fitchburg State coaching staff, led by Dan Nagel, a former UMass Boston assistant coach. Nagel, in his second season with Fitchburg State, took over. The team was 0-25 the year before he got there, 9-16 a season ago, 1-11, excuse me, in the MASCAC. With the Beacons for 3 seasons under Courtney Mattingly. On the other side for UMass Boston, the Beacons are coached by Christina Baugh. Baugh in her 3rd season with UMass Boston, 29-30 with the Beacons, a chance to get back to 500. She's been really impressive in the month of November. The Beacons 11-3 all-time. 2016 LEC title appearance. The Beacons would love to get back there this year with this young group. And Steve, we talked about LEC play. Starts Saturday. It's scary if you're the Beacons, but they have a chance to go in on a hot streak, winning 4 in a row. And they'll take on a Keene State team that still hasn't gotten their footing down, just 1-4 in the year going into the night.
Yeah, definitely exciting if you're a freshman, especially if you're a Beacon. And last game, they kind of came out a little bit slow against Becker College, a little bit of turkey hangover, and they come out and absolutely dominate in the second half. So I'm really excited to see what they have tonight and see how they kind of roll into this weekend on a good note.
Yeah, if you're UMass Boston, you'd love to avoid a slow start like you had the other night. The Beacons shot 57% in the second half to make up for it. Still only ended up shooting 40%. It was a really slow start, a lot of missed layups. So we'll take a look at our keys to the game, and one of those things is to avoid a slow start. The Beacons were just not themselves over the first 2 quarters after putting up a combined 186 points in their prior 2 games. Take advantage down low. Steve, I mentioned it. This Fitchburg State team doesn't run all that big, 5'8", 5'9". The Beacons should have the advantage. And don't give up the open three-point looks. It seemed like Becker was draining a ton of them, and this Fitchburg State team, a much better three-point shooting team.
Yeah, they always had. It felt like when I was watching the game, it felt like Becker was out of it, and then a three-pointer brought him right back in. And if it wasn't 1, it was 2, and they were kind of guarded. It wasn't like every single one was wide open threes, but obviously with a better three-point shooting team, you want to be more mindful of working on the perimeter.
Right now, we'll take a look at the Fitchburg State starters. This team, remember, didn't bring back their top 2 point scorers and rebounders. They've had to rely on a lot of new faces in the second year. They'll rely a lot on Kalilah Mitchell, the freshman guard out of Millbury, leads the team with their 3.6 assists per game. Also has 12.8 points and 5.4 rebounds. Good for second on the team. Angelina Marazzi mentioned her, the St. Anselm transfer, tops on the team with their 14.4 points per game and 2.2 steals per game. Emma Thompson, sophomore guard out of York, Maine, one of the few returners. She was the leading point returner from a season ago, and she's the three-point shooter on this team. 7.7 attempts per game last year, 9 attempts this year. We'll take a break for the national anthem and then be back with the Beacon starters and the opening tip here on the Beacons Broadcast Network.
The 5-campus UMass system is the university that educates the workforce of Massachusetts. We recognize that we are truly here for a reason, and that recognition inspires us and drives us every single day.
My name is Joey Grassi. I'm a freshman, I'm a forward, and I'm from Plymouth, Mass.
My name is Lydia Vital. I'm from Cambridge, Mass. I'm a senior, and I'm a point guard.
Alicia Cronones, sophomore forward from Stoughton, Mass. Katie Matthews, senior guard, Coventry, Connecticut.
Raven Kelsey, senior guard, Boston, Massachusetts.
You just saw the UMass Boston starters. We'll take a look at the remaining Fitchburg State starters. In the middle, it's Michaela McTomney, stands at 5'7". She's a Southern New Hampshire transfer, one of 2 Division II transfers on the roster, a senior out of Bellingham, Massachusetts. On the year, she's averaging 9.8 points and 7.4 rebounds, good for tops on the team, also has 7 blocks. And finally, Michelle Logie, the freshman guard out of Attleboro, Massachusetts, played basketball and lax at Attleboro High School. Logie on the season, averaging 3.5 points, 5.3 rebounds, and 2.3 assists, does a little bit of everything for head coach Dan Nagel. Steve, it's going to be interesting with both of these teams. Nobody plays a ton of minutes. There's not a player on either roster who averages over 30 minutes. So we should be seeing 9, 10 players seeing a lot of time. It can be difficult sometimes to get into a rhythm, but it also takes some of the pressure off of one player having to score 20 to 25 points. See good depth on both of these teams with 6, 7, 8 players averaging 5 or more points rather than 3 or 4 players averaging 15 to 20.
Yeah, when you're looking at names, you kind of mentioned Kalilah Mitchell, 54.5% beyond the three-point mark. I mean, if they're going to guard anyone and kind of mark anyone's number to kind of watch out and make sure she doesn't get an open look, that would be the girl that you're kind of looking at.
Mitchell, 6 of 11 from distance this season, had a career-high 16 points the other night in a win over Elms College. The other three-point shooter I mentioned a little bit, Emma Thompson, she hasn't shot all that well from distance, 26.7%, 9 attempts per game, but with that kind of volume, if she can get hot, the other night, 6 of 14, actually that was last week in a win over Southern Vermont. They're jacking up 14 threes. hit a couple of those, you can really keep your team in the game. And that's been a big part of their game this season. They've hit 10 or more threes 3 times this year, something that I'm sure Christina Baugh focused on in the scout prior to today's game.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the teams, I think it's going to be a lot of different names we're going to be talking about on the broadcast because they both are very team-oriented. It's not one player. It's not one individual that's kind of scoring 20, 25 points for each team. I think it's more of a team-oriented. The Beacons are that way, especially with Fitchburg State as well.
When you look at the all-time series, UMass Boston leads it 16-11. In last year's win for the Beacons, UMass Boston earned an 81-75 victory. A big part of it was some of the players who did go off are no longer part of these teams. For UMass Boston, the 2 leading scorers, Chantal Jordan, a senior, Ariana Rivera, a member of the Beacons women's basketball program, who actually transferred to Fitchburg State, not on the roster this year, coming off an injury. And then on the other side, Kira Rose had 32. Remember, she's not eligible this year, but Fitchburg State hopes to get her back, and she's a tremendous talent. And then Caitlin Rizzuto had 19 points and 12 rebounds. Beacons get their hands on the ball. It's Vital able to steal it, and the Beacons will go from left to right on your computer screen in the white unis.
And Vital did that last game very well. Great defense by her, always. Got in a little bit of foul trouble, so it'll be interesting if she minimizes that today.
Joey Grassi can't make the catch, trying to track back, and it's just short there on the lay-in from McTomney. Nice job on the foul by Marazzi to get the offensive board. Marazzi into the corner. Kicks it over for Michaela Mitchell. Mitchell into the corner on the far side. Back up top with 15 on the shot clock. Find the player in the post over Raven. Kelsey too strong. And Kelsey the early board. Kelsey finds Vital. UMass Boston, the home whites with the blue numbers. On the other side, Fitchburg State in the road greens with the white numbers and yellow trim as Kelsey stripped to the ball. And it's controlled there by Michaela Mitchell. This Fitchburg State team has 3 different Michaelas. 2 of them spelled different ways as Joey Grassi can't get the rebound, and it's an early 2 points for Michaela Mitchell.
An early 2 points, and we talked about it, offensive rebounding. That's going to be the key for Fitchburg State.
We've got an early foul. It looks like a holding call against the Falcons. UMass Boston yet to convert on offense, and right now we see the big size advantage for UMass Boston, but Fitchburg State has out-hustled the Beacons to a couple of these balls. So we've got an early team foul against the Falcons, the first for either side.
And that's something to look at, especially for the Beacons. Foul trouble. Vital got in foul trouble last game, and Grassi, both huge part of their offense and defense for the Beacons.
Raven Kelsey with an early bucket from the baseline. That's good news for UMass Boston. Kelsey, second team all-conference player last year. She shot just 31% on the season, though, to open up this year. Got to travel on Fitchburg State, and the Beacons have a chance to take their first lead.
And we talked about Vital, how she got into foul trouble last game. Jelani Jackson played a great job at point guard last game. We'll see if she gets a little more minutes tonight.
Beacons feel like they go 3 deep at the point guard position between Vital, Jackson, and Tajay Mazik. Kelsey with another bucket. The scoop up and under, and the Beacons have their first lead at 4-2. Marazzi being badgered by the smaller Vital. Vital runs into the pick, able to force the player to pick up their dribble. And there's a long two, a little bit short. Vital with the rebound, and she'll look to run. Has Matthew to her left, Grassi to her right, gives it off to Katie Matthew off the glass, and a much better start for UMass Boston. 6-2, 2 minutes and 15 seconds in.
And that's something the Beacons do very well when they score a lot of points, is get a lot of transition baskets. You can see Vital can push the pace, and Katie Matthew right there to put it in.
Vital already with the rebound, a steal, forced turnover. Grassi with the block, can't pick it up, loose ball. Grassi can't dive on it, and it's Kelsey. As Beacons probably took a little bit longer there in transition than they would have liked. Pass over for Quinones, out of bounds off her, and that's a tough break, Steve. I don't think Alicia recognized the tip off the Falcons' hand. That was going to stay with UMass Boston if Alicia didn't get to it.
Yeah, that's a tough bid right there, obviously. It's a good turnover for Fitchburg State. Obviously, you don't want to get in too deep of a hole, especially when you're a three-point shooting team. You kind of want to develop that shot early.
Fitchburg State goes to the bench early. Marazzi to the bench. Peyton Holmes, a freshman guard out of Carver, Massachusetts, checks in. Got a hand check foul against UMass Boston, first on the Beacons. Looking at Peyton Holmes, averaging 13.4 minutes per game. Just 3 points on the season, though. As there's a short jumper, a little bit too strong on the jumper from Thompson, and Fitchburg State another offensive board. Ball's thrown into the middle. Quinones comes away with it. A couple lefty dribbles, goes up, and the Beacons add another easy lane, 8-2.
And we talked about pushing the pace. Both teams really want to push the pace. The Beacons are doing a great job right now getting those transitional baskets with 8 points on the board.
Tough jumper there, and it's well too strong. Vital out ahead of the pack, finds Matthew, already has 2, make it 4. 10 straight points from UMass Boston, 8 of them coming inside the paint, and it's 10-2 UMass Boston.
And completely opposite start for the Beacons this game instead of the Becker College.
Got an offensive foul, a moving pick there as Vital got sandwiched between a pair of Falcons. Dan Nagel is asking what the call was there, and UMass Boston will go to the bench. Megan Dixon, who had started each of the past 2 games, replaces Katie Matthew. Steve, this is a tough spot. 6:28 left in the first quarter. The Beacons already up by 8. We'll get the media timeout under 5. UMass Boston has a chance to potentially run away with this game here in the opening 5 minutes.
Well, yeah, it is early, but the Beacons do look great. Obviously, Megan Dixon.
Well, she gets nothing but net, but it was shy. That was an NBA distance 3, and Dixon couldn't quite come up to the task there. Into the paint, and there's another tough play from Grassi, stripping it away from the big down low. Kelsey at the elbow. She'll pull up, tries to find Dixon inside position, and an acrobatic shot there, a no-look lay-in, and the Beacons push the lead to double digits.
Yeah, I mean, it is early, but it looks like Fitchburg can get nothing going on offense right now. The Beacons just turning it over and making it into baskets.
Reminds me a little bit of the men's basketball game the other night. The Beacons' length is certainly helping them. They're taller and longer at almost every position. Up top, Dixon gets her hands in. Dixon going 1v1, and Dixon will draw a little contact and the foul. Getting back was Emma Thompson, but she got underneath of Dixon, and Dixon will have to earn it the hard way with 2 free throws with 5.5 left in this first quarter. It's been the best start we've seen for UMass Boston this year.
Yeah, Dixon does a great job, obviously, behind the perimeter, but another thing she does a great job with is driving the hoop and getting contact. She did a great job with that against Becker and beginning this year. Another great point, getting her to the basket.
Dixon misses the first, now 5 of 8 for her freshman season. Our player to watch, a pair of substitutions, actually 3 of them for Fitchburg State. Checking in for the first time, Michaela Malbouf, the junior guard out of Fitchburg, Massachusetts, New England College transfer. So the Beacons will bring in Jelani Jackson. The other 2 subs in there for Fitchburg. It looks like Chloe Roberts in for the first time. There's a long distance 3 from Peyton Holmes, and that'll be a positive note to go into the timeout. Fitchburg State didn't want to let the bleeding go any further. The final sub, Mercy Frimpong. We'll take a commercial break and be back. It's UMass Boston 13-5, just 4 minutes and 37 seconds in.
Paris changed my life, and I got there through UMass. Those very specific seminal moments in Paris. The subway. A man in a tuxedo walked in, and a woman in a long gown. And it was stunning. It all hit me. It was like a lightning bolt. There was this world of beauty and style that I wanted to be a part of. That was the beginning of the journey. And that all came through the University of Massachusetts. And that was really a key moment for me. That's one of those moments you never forget.
There was that last 3, a good sign going into the break, as I believe it was Peyton Holmes who knocked that one down for the Falcons. So Dan Nagel bringing in a new group of players. If you're Fitchburg State, you've taken a couple early hits, you've been turning the ball over a lot. What do you adjust here with about 5.5 remaining in the first quarter to try to get this game back to within striking distance?
Well, I mean, something they haven't really done so well is take care of the ball. And that's how UMass Boston has 13 points so far, is they're getting these points off turnovers, which is resulting into easy layups. So I think they have to take care of the ball and kind of try to set up an offense to get those open threes and how they can start really playing their game plan.
Beacons will go with Jelani Jackson, Alicia Quinones, Raven Kelsey, Joey Grassi, and Megan Dixon. Beacons easily get it across midcourt. That one went off the foot of Quinones, but they're going to say that it also caught the foot of the Falcons as they tried to double-team Quinones along the sideline. Alicia easily gets it in. Kelsey's feeling it for 3, and this is the best we've seen from Raven Kelsey already. 7 points in the early going.
Yeah, that's a great look, especially with conference coming up. such a good player and such a confident player, especially when she starts getting on a roll. I wouldn't be surprised if she gets good numbers tonight.
Kelsey pulls up, too strong, long rebound, and it's Jelani Jackson with the rebound. Never hit the rim, but they did reset the shot clock. Bit of a break for UMass Boston. Kelsey finds Quinones down low for Grassi. That's a mismatch, and Malbooth forced to give up the foul. Michaela's listed at 5'9", Joey listed at 6 foot, and Grassi also a little bit more athletic than Malbooth looks.
And that's a great play by Raven right there. Obviously at the top of the key, had an open shot, but looking for more, obviously trying to drive it into the paint and get Grassi a look.
Joey can't connect on the first one. The Beacons have struggled from the free throw line this year as a team, showing now 11 of 20, 55% from the free throw line.
And they have to clean that up in conference game. Obviously, you saw a little bit of it Tuesday. A struggle at the line. When that gets in conference games, that's going to be very integral.
Grassi goes 1 for 2 from the line on the year. The Beacons 8th out of 8 teams in the Little East Conference at 62.8%. Jackson got her hands on the ball, forced the Falcons to go down low. Malbooth is fouled there by Kelsey on the rebound. And that's the second on the Beacons. Already Fitchburg State with 5 team fouls, Steve. Beacons are going to shoot the double bonus the rest of the quarter.
Exactly, and when we're talking about double bonus, that's 2 shots. You got to be good with the free throws. That'll result into a lot more points.
Roberts up top for Frimpong. First time we've seen her touch the ball. Good drive, and she rattles it in. Mercy Frimpong, the senior guard out of Worcester, Massachusetts. Spent her first 2 years at Quinsimmon Community College. Last 2 years at Fitchburg. Pass too strong for Grassi, and it's another turnover for the Beacons. But Dixon reads it perfectly, the right-hand lay-in. And that's a tough one. Malbooth just trying to get the ball out of her hands. Dixon read it well, and Peyton Holmes couldn't get there in time.
And an easy lay-in for the Beacons, an easy 2 to put them up by 12.
Deep 3 is a bit too strong out of the hands of Chloe Roberts. In for Tajay Mazik just into the game. Mazik out there with Jackson, Kelsey, Dixon, and Grassi. And Beacons with another turnover as Jackson's feet got moving a bit too fast. See 2 more subs for UMass Boston. Katie Matthew and Gianna Williams, and the substitution train keeps going. Catherine Coppinger was going to check in, and she will. She'll be the inbounder here for Fitchburg State.
And how deep do you think they'll go into their bench tonight? Obviously, a conference game on Saturday, and up 12 points a little bit early, but who knows?
I mean, clearly a lot of time left in this game. UMass Boston was down 11 deep into the second quarter the other night. Big reason why they probably didn't go as deep as they would have liked. Malbooth off the mark. None of the Beacons rebounded the ball, and finally Dixon draws the foul there on the loose ball. It's going to go against Chloe Roberts. Fitchburg State had 5 team fouls with about 4.5 minutes to go. Now, since that was a loose ball foul on the offensive end, it won't lead to free throws, but the Beacons get it back, already leading by 12. Referees are going to have a conversation, and no, they're actually going to send UMass Boston to the line. So it will be Dixon to the line for 2.
And this was a key to the game. Last game, we talked about how they had to be better with free throw shooting. And just obviously, when you're facing smaller teams like this, you're going to go to the line a lot more.
Well, and certainly Dixon knocks down the first, now 2 of 3 on the day. When you're getting into those conference games where it doesn't matter the records, it seems like a lot of these games are always going to be close, 1-2 possession games. It can come down to free throws. And for UMass Boston, sometimes they're not going to have the experience edge. Typically, they're going to be one of the bigger teams because they do have a couple of 6-footers. But it's one of those little things that it's not what the other team's doing to you. It's just what are you doing to help yourself. As Frimpong, looks like she was fouled there, a potential reach in from Jackson. And that was lucky as Frimpong was very close to the sideline, almost out of bounds.
And when you mentioned it, it's the experience. That's what it comes down to. And a lot of these starters don't have collegiate basketball experience. So when they hear conference games, they don't know how intense it really is. And obviously in every sport, a conference game means a little bit more than a Wednesday or Thursday match.
Great drive from Marazi on the smaller Jackson, and she's able to get the deficit back within 12. Mazik too strong on the baseline jumper, and the rebound into the hands of Catherine Coppinger.
And something to look at, Mazik. Last game, I was talking to my host, Bill Spalding, about a little hesitant with the ball, a little hesitant with the shot. Didn't know when to take the shot, didn't know when to pass, and she always passed until she made a couple lay-ins, and then I think she ended with 6 points on the night.
Tajay did finish with 6 in limited minutes. Another nice drive from Marazzi. This time she doesn't get the fortuitous bounce. Mazik with another rebound. She's a freshman point guard out of Hamden right now, playing the 2 with Jelani Jackson on the ball. Over to Dixon. Gianna Williams asking for it in the post. Jackson across for Mazik. Over for Matthew. Good ball fake. Matthew tries to get it across for Dixon. It's knocked down. Does get to Megan. Up top with 10 on the shot clock. 2:37 to go in the quarter. Jackson with the right hand floater can't finish. Rebound into the hands of the Falcons, and they'll push Chloe Roberts into the front court. Ahead for Coppinger. Off the mark, and the Beacons will look to run.
And Fitchburg really hasn't gotten a good look at the basket tonight.
Dixon is wide open for 3. Can't quite get the bounce. Dixon tried to leave it off for Williams. Another turnover. Steve, I think you're right, though. A lot of contested shots, and big part of it is they haven't had that many shots. The Beacons probably have 6 to 7 more attempts just based off of offensive boards and turnovers. Down low into the hands of Malbouf. Looks to work on Dixon. Dixon the block. Malbouf gets her own rebound. Throws it up, and that is as impressive as the play we saw from Dixon on the other side.
And throws it up. I think that's exactly what she did. They need to slow down the pace and start running more plays and get a little organized on offense.
Dixon goes underneath of Coppinger. Another easy bucket for the Beacons, pushing the lead back to 12. Out ahead of the pack is Roberts. Roberts forced to push it back out for Frimpong. Just a minute 30 to go in the quarter. The Beacons have led by double digits for the most part. 4 subs waiting to check in for UMass Boston, 1 for Fitchburg State. Marazzi takes a long 2, front rim no good. 3 Beacons underneath the basket, just 1 Fitchburg State player. Mazik will slow it down, and the Beacons will set up with a minute 10 to play. Dixon with Williams asking for it. All the way across. Matthew will try her hand at a 3. She's too strong. Dixon gets the rebound, tiptoeing along the line, and she's out of bounds.
And something to look at. We talked about how good of a 3-point Fitchburg really is, and they've only made 1 tonight. Obviously, the offense has been scarce, but not connecting behind the arc.
Yeah, haven't had that many attempts from distance either. For UMass Boston, the lone player that'll stay out there is Mazik. They'll bring back Vital, Grossi, and Kelsey, 3 starters, and then Whitney Fulton. Player that we haven't seen a ton of is there's Malbouf, a deep 3. She's got 5 straight, and the deficit is 9. That was an NBA-style 3-pointer from the junior from Fitchburg, Mass.
And we saw a lot of those from Becker, just deep 3-pointers.
Whitney Fulton from just behind the 3-point line, no good. Rebound into the hands of Frimpong, and Fitchburg State has a chance to cut into this lead a little bit further. It's already down to 9. Marazzi, the behind-the-back dribble. Good drive, able to fight off Grassi, who was trying to grab the ball. And we've got a tie-up. It'll go back to the Beacons with 21.4 left.
And something to see from all these freshmen that are coming off the bench for the Beacons. No one's scared to take the shot. And that's very encouraging if you are Coach Baugh, because that means that you can just keep switching them in and switching them out because they're not afraid to take the shot and score.
Grossi looking down low, wide open Mazik. And a beautiful find from Joey Grossi. Beacons catching Fitchburg State on the backdoor cut. 5 seconds left. Marazzi with the ball in her hands, down to 3. She has 2, doesn't recognize it. They're not going to get a shot up. Malbouf's attempt way too late. UMass Boston 25, Fitchburg State 14. Steve, a very different start from the other day, and it seems like UMass Boston's doing almost everything better than they did the other day, where it's not just offense, their defense is picked up as well.
Yeah, their defense is picked up, and they're capitalizing on the defense. They did that a couple times against Becker. They've had those steals and had those breakaways, but they couldn't capitalize with the lay-ins missed or foul shots missed. Today they're capitalizing, and that's one of the reasons why they're up 11 points.
We'll take a commercial break and be back right here on the Beacons Broadcast Network.
The University of Massachusetts Boston. It's just minutes from downtown, and the Princeton Review calls it one of the best values in the country. A nationally recognized institution of academic excellence and research, UMass Boston offers more than 150 undergraduate and graduate programs, 16 Division III sports, and more than 100 student organizations. To learn more about the opportunities waiting for you at UMass Boston, visit in person or online. UMass Boston, a research university with a teaching soul.
Celebrate the soggy shoes.
and the slow starts. Celebrate the lessons learned along the way. These are the wins. Not the shiny, nail-biting kind. These are the last a lifetime kind.
Fitchburg State out of the huddle first. They're going to go with a similar-looking group. It'll be Michelle Logie, Angelina Marazzi, Emma Thompson. Didn't see a ton of Thompson there in that first half. Michaela McTomney and Michaela Mitchell. So the 5 starters for that group. UMass Boston's going to go with a couple subs. Here's an early 3 look. It's off the mark from the wing. And a rebound for Raven Kelsey out there with Lydia Vital, Alicia Quinones, Whitney Fulton, and Joey Grassi. Vital needs help. Finds Fulton up top. It's Quinones from the wing. She's too strong, and the long rebound finds Mitchell. Mitchell pushing the pace. Marazzi calling for the ball. She's going to be called for the travel. Great closeout there from Vital. Looked like Marazzi was thinking about shooting the open 3 and then saw the speeding blur that is Lydia Vital.
Yeah, she's one of the best defensive players on the team, especially a veteran. So when going into these conference games, I mean, I know we're looking ahead, but a great defensive player and a great point guard for the Beacons.
Quinones from the elbow, kicks it out for Fulton. She'll try a 3. That one is off the front of the rim, the side of the rim, and no good. Kelsey grabs another rebound. She can't convert. Long rebound, bounces all the way out to Logie. Logie slows it up at half court, tries to dribble around Kelsey, loses the dribble. Vital will poke it away. Talk about a defensive force. She's everywhere out there right now for UMass Boston.
And, I mean, sometimes before a conference game, you're just going through the motions and really trying to just find the shot, maybe go through the rhythm. But tonight, the Beacons have brought some energy. I mean, it's at the bench, you know, everyone's standing up. It really is a different Beacon team in the first half than against Becker.
Maybe carrying over some of that momentum from the second half in which they badly outscored the Hawks to earn the win. Drive and kick out here. Chance from the corner. Mitchell will try to leave it off. Raven Kelsey's there again. Kelsey and Vital have led the charge here in the first half. Vital over for Dixon. Still trying to find that NBA range. She's too strong. Quinones that inside position. And another easy lay-in, the lead back up to 13.
And offensive rebounding. Quinones doing a great job getting under the boards and putting it back for 2.
Seems like Fitchburg State not doing a good job of boxing out. They're giving up any chance of the offensive boards, and they're also giving up quite a few on the other end. Marazzi trying to answer, too strong on the long 3. Mitchell will grab the rebound and try one of her own. She's way off the mark, and the Beacons will get it back with 8:10 to play.
Not doing a great job on the boards and not doing a great job behind the 3-point arc, which is their offense, and that explains why they only have 14 points so far this game.
Team that's averaged 92 per game over their last 3. That includes a 100-plus point performance, 101 points against Southern Vermont College, the second most in program history. Vital for Kelsey. She's had the hot hand. Gives it up for Quinones. Wide open, Grassi. How do you lose her down low?
Well, you know, she's been quiet all game. So, and the Beacons have really been attempting a lot of 3-point shots. So, trying to help, and Grassi was left alone.
Logie lost the dribble. It looked like it hit her in the head, but somehow it goes off the Beacons. It's a 15-point UMass Boston lead, 7:40 to play in the second quarter, 22 on the shot clock. Steve, I'll ask you again. Everything's going UMass Boston's way. How do you fix this? How do you cut into this deficit if you're Fitchburg?
Well, you got to slow it down. It looks like they're trying to do too much right now.
It's a good kick out from Logie from Marazzi. Can't get the shot to go, but another offensive rebound. That's 3 in the last 2 possessions. And we're going to get a hand check foul on Quinones, first for either team here in the second quarter.
And that's another way you could do it. You can attack the basket and try to get on the line somehow and knock down some free throws. They're doing a great job right now trying to penetrate the basket, but obviously nothing falling.
I don't think we've seen a free throw attempt for Fitchburg State thus far. Easy block there for Grassi on the smaller McTomney. Vital behind the 3-point line for Kelsey. Drives all the way in. Can't quite get the scoop shot to fall. And the rebound into the hands of McTomney, the Southern New Hampshire transfer. Tries to get it over for a teammate. Kelsey read the pass but couldn't quite handle it. Thompson in the corner has it go off of Kelsey along the sideline. And I think Raven's going to be called for being out of bounds. But that's a play. Won't show up in the stats. The entire bench gets up. Everyone is screaming. this is the most excited this Beacons team has looked in a while.
Exactly, and you know what it is sometimes? The Fitchburg has to get the ball to their main ball handlers, like Mrazzi and Mitchell, Kalilah Mitchell, that is. You got to get the ball to the right person so they're not keep having these turnovers.
Thompson looking down low for McTomney. Kicked around, and it's Mitchell, the left-handed three. She drains it. They've hit 3 of them now, and it cuts the deficit back to 12. Naira Mitchell, one of the Beacons' many freshman bigs waiting to check in. Mitchell, one of the 3 bigs over 6 feet tall for UMass Boston. Actually make it 4. Down low, it's Grassi. Couldn't quite make the catch, threw it up there, and we've got a tie-up. It'll stay with UMass Boston.
And definitely not a lack of intensity today for the Beacons. Came out a little slow last game. I'm sure Coach Ball kind of harped on that all the last 2 days, and they're coming out electric.
Naira Mitchell hasn't played a lot the past couple games. The freshman out of Easton, Mass, listed at 6 foot tall. Played in 4 games this year, 7.3 minutes per game. Matthew off the inbound. She can't quite find the distance. And the rebound into the hands of Kalilah Mitchell. Kicks it ahead into the corner for Mrazzi. Now Mrazzi will look to drive. Throws up the right-handed floater. Back down to a 10-point lead.
Back down to the 10-point lead, and that's a great job by Mrazzi to really penetrate. Obviously, they just had a freshman come in the spot, in the paint, and it's a good job to penetrate and kind of show the weakness.
Quinone has a hard drive with the left hand. A nice finish from Alicia, who's taken a huge jump in her game from her freshman to sophomore season. The leading returning point scorer despite being just a sophomore. Great strip from Vital on Malbouf. She's got Matthew running with her. Hits the trailer, Quinones. Leaves it off for Dixon. Great unselfish play. Dixon looked like she was fouled. Mitchell well off the mark. And coming in over the top is Quinones. She'll pick up her 2nd foul of the quarter, 2nd on the team.
And that's something that Vital does. When someone tries to drive the lane, Vital's always there looking to grab the ball, and right there obviously resulted into a turnover.
Vital will earn a well-deserved break. Back in is Jelani Jackson, the Beacons' backup point guard out of Brockton, Mass. 5:25 to go in the 2nd quarter. Beacons lead 31-19. Here's a chance for Mitchell to drive. The Beacons look like they got a hand in on it, and we're going to get another foul. So in the 1st quarter, it was all Fitchburg State getting whistled. Now it's 3 for UMass Boston, 0 for the Falcons. And they'll get an inbounds underneath the Beacons basket.
And Fitchburg is doing a great job right now, penetrating the basket and looking for those easy baskets down low.
Malbooth able to drain the rainbow there from about 6 feet. 31-21 UMass Boston. We've seen some really good offense off the bench from Michaela Malbooth, the New England College transfer who came in averaging 12.6 points per game. Matthew from the wing. Mitchell calling for it. Kicks it out for a wide open Jelani Jackson. Knocks it down. That's a dagger as the Beacons push the lead back out to 13. Chance for Fitchburg State to counter, but that three's well off the mark. Matthew had Quinones out ahead. Elected not to throw the football pass.
And being down 10 right there, down 13, you got to look for a better shot.
Mitchell out for Jackson, across for Dixon, and over for Quinones. Matthew was open on the post, but just for a moment. Still 13 on the shot clock. Matthew now operating from the corner for Quinones with 8. Quinones looks to drive, throws up the runner, no good. Matthew with the inside position. She can't finish. A load of players are there, and we've got a foul on the floor against Fitchburg State, which will take us into our media timeout of the 2nd quarter. UMass Boston 34, Fitchburg State 21. We'll take a break along with the teams. The Beacons looking for their 5th win of the early season.
Something I discovered in myself is that if I have a goal, I can accomplish it.
It's a well-rounded experience.
At a Division III school, you primarily a student athlete, so the school is really shaped around you developing yourself as a complete individual.
It helps a lot that you have a family with your team that can guide you.
Christina Baugh and her staff pleading their case as they thought that Katie Matthew should have been given 2 free throws. I don't think she's going to win that one, but she's got to be pretty happy with her team's performance thus far, Steve. Up by 13. They've really been in command since the early minutes of this game, and this is the kind of performance you want to come off of heading into a really tough road game on Saturday. The Beacons will take on the defending LEC champions in Keene State, and certainly for at least one player, it's going to be an interesting feeling going up to Keene. Lydia Vital's first trip back up to Spalding Gymnasium and her first game against her former teammates.
Yeah, and it doesn't look like they're hitting a certain shot better tonight coming out. They just want it more with intensity, the loose balls, not having the ticky-tacky fouls that they had at the beginning of the game that kind of put them in a hole for the whole game with Grassi and Vital. They're just playing smarter and harder basketball tonight.
Beacons will go with Mazik, Kelsey, Matthew, Mitchell, and Jackson out of the timeout. UMass Boston has used double-digit players already here in the first half. Beacons getting the inbounds just underneath the Fitchburg basket with 30 on the shot clock, 4:19 to play in the quarter. Kelsey fakes the handoff, looks to drive, behind the back dribble, over for Mitchell, who wasn't ready for it, out of bounds off of Matthew. And that's one of those plays where it just takes a little bit of chemistry. Raven Kelsey trying to be unselfish, but Mitchell just wasn't ready for the pass.
Yeah, sometimes as a freshman, you're just looking the next thing to do. And sometimes you just got to slow the game down and kind of be in the moment.
You see it at all levels. Sometimes bigs just aren't ready for some of the great passes that their teammates have. Long three is off the mark from Malboof, and the Beacons get the rebound in the form of Katie Matthew.
And Katie Matthew doing a great job under the boards tonight. Obviously, she's just working hard down under the boards.
Mitchell calling for it in the post, gets double teamed, goes up with it with the right hand, quite finished, but Matthew's there for another rebound and another bucket. And the problem for Fitchburg State is their lack of size. The Beacons on the weak side are going one-on-one, and their players are just a little bit bigger and a little stronger than this Fitchburg State side. So there's an easy foul there. Kelsey lands on Malboof. This could be 2 free throws. The 14th foul on the Beacons. Nope, they're going to say it was on the floor. So Fitchburg State has drawn 4 fouls in the quarter, still has yet to shoot a free throw, and we'll see Gianna Williams replace Kelsey. Mercy Frimpong a bit short. She saw a decent amount of time in the first quarter. Malboof just trying to throw it up, gets her own rebound. Quadruple team there. Kicks it out for Chloe Roberts, well off the mark on the three. Williams, the quick pass for Jelani Jackson, who dribbles her way out of traffic, and she'll slow it down.
And Jackson doing a great job running the point, allowing Vital to kind of take a break.
Jackson with a lot of tough pressure there from Frimpong, able to get away from it. Over for Mazik. Mitchell from the free throw line, called for too many steps. And the Beacons will have to give it up here, up by 15. More substitutions coming for Fitchburg. They'll bring Catherine Coppinger, the Boston product, back in. Catherine played at Boston Latin Academy. As a sophomore, she's averaging just under 10 minutes per game and just under 5 rebounds per game. As Grassi will head back to the scorer's table. Mitchell from the corner trying to work on the smaller Jackson. That's going to be a foul on Jelani, and that'll lead to the first free throws of the game for Fitchburg State. The Beacons now have 5 team fouls with 2:42 to play in the quarter.
And really, that's a great job, honestly, by the Beacons for the first 2 quarters to kind of keep them off that line. That was one of the reasons why Becker was in the game on Tuesday, because they were just knocking down free throws left and right.
Well, and this is a strength of Fitchburg State, 68.9%, second best in the MASCAC out of 7 teams. Mitchell gets a friendly bounce from the back of the rim. For UMass Boston, they'll bring in 2 of their starters, Jelani Jackson and Naira Mitchell. Head to the bench, Joey Grassi and Lydia Vital back out there. Mitchell knocks down the first. And the second one falls as well. For Michaela on the season, she came in 10 of 20 from the free throw line. Mercy Frimpong forces the turnover, and there's going to be an up and down. The pressure from Gianna Williams forces Coppinger to bring the ball down with her, but it's great defensive pressure from Frimpong, who's been a little bit of a pest to Vital for first Jackson and now Vital.
Yeah, and she had Coppinger wide open under the basket. Right there would have been an easy 2 and kind of a momentum bust for Fitchburg State.
Cross, and it goes off the hands of Peyton Holmes. It'll stay with UMass Boston. A little bit of sloppiness right now for UMass Boston.
A little bit of sloppiness. It's reminding me of the first quarter in Becker College where they had really long passes trying to break a zone. obviously tonight they haven't really been very sloppy, but the last couple minutes with the long passes, a couple turnovers right there.
Mercy Frimpong's done a nice job of keeping the ball out of the hands of Vital. This time Vital able to get the inbounds pass, and she'll set up the offense for the Beacons. Finds Grossi at the free throw line. Mazik kicks it out for Quinones and back up top for Vital. Vital back for Quinones, and the Beacons have to get it off. They don't. Caught me a little bit unawares, and the Beacons totally unawares as UMass Boston commits the shot clock violation.
Yeah, and you want a strong 2 minutes to go into the half right here if you're UMass Boston. Obviously a little lackadaisical the last couple of minutes. They really have to pick it up these last 2 minutes.
Mitchell, she's been one of the more active players, finds Malbouf, and it's stripped out of bounds off Quinones. It really seems for Fitchburg State, Malbouf is looking for a shot. Mitchell and Marazzi are looking to drive, and then pretty much everyone else is just sort of watching on offense. They get it in for Malbouf, gets away from Grossi, and able to get the hook shot to go with the right hand.
Yeah, and she's been hot for Fitchburg State. Obviously, she's had a couple threes, but doing a great job keeping in Fitchburg State right now.
Beacons, a little bit more lackadaisical play as two Beacons were right next to each other, Quinones and Grossi. Neither player elects to grab the ball, and it ends up in the backcourt for a backcourt violation. UMass Boston's led by as many as 15. It's down to 11 here, and Jelani Jackson will come on and replace Mazik. Fitchburg State not letting the Beacons run away with it. Grossi can't quite get the block. Now Coppinger rushes in, gets the offensive board, but throws it away. UMass Boston's had a couple of breakdowns on the defensive boards where both players are following one of the two bigs for Fitchburg State, and it's led to some breakdowns. We're going to get a timeout. Now, you have to think that's what Christina Ball is trying to talk about right now, cutting down the sloppiness and doing a better job of identifying on the defensive end.
And even it's maybe talking to Joey Grassi, because Malbouf has had the same move every time she gets the ball. She goes for a right hand and goes for a hook shot. You have to notice that, and kind of, especially with a bench player, you know, you got to assume maybe she doesn't have another move. Kind of play to that strong suit and see if you can't block her.
Tendencies are huge when you get to the college level. At high school, and you would know this, you don't really get a scout on other teams. There's just not that much video out there. At the college level, you have a scout, you go through scout. Obviously more video available at the Division I level, at the Division II level, but there's enough video where if Malbouf is going to go to the same move, you have to not only know that, you have to know how to stop that. And thus far, Michaela Malbouf has been not only one of the top scorers for Fitchburg State, she's probably one of the top scorers in this game due to her ability to hit the three, but she's on the bench right now with a minute 24 to play in the second quarter. Jackson finds a cutting Quinones, another left-handed lay-in, and Alicia has had that option available to her all night long.
Yeah, and she's done a great job of finishing, even if someone's in her face or giving her a bump.
Great job by Mitchell to drive, leaves it off for Michaela McTomney, and it's going to be 2 free throws upcoming for the Falcons. They're going to get Jelani Jackson on the foul. Jackson has at least 2, if not 3 here. Not the worst player to be in foul trouble. The Beacons also have Vital and Mazik. And now Megan Dixon's going to check in for Jelani. Going to be 2 free throws here for Michaela Mitchell. They got the foul before the pass.
And we haven't seen much of Dixon tonight. Obviously, the Beacons have been pushing the pace with Jackson in and Vital in. Haven't seen much of Dixon and her three-point shot.
Mitchell hits the lone free throw there. Matthew has to pull up, finds a wide open Dixon from the corner, rims in and out, rebound tapped into the hands of Grossi, and the Beacons push the lead back to 14.
And the Beacons have been doing a great job. We talked about how they haven't really shot that many threes. They're doing a great job offensive rebounding and getting transition points.
Frimpong sprung all the way to the basket and able to draw the contact there. Couldn't quite get the finish. Terrific job on the pick there as Vital was pulled away from Frimpong, and Frimpong drove hard to the lane. She'll head to the line for 2. Mercy on the year has yet to attempt a free throw.
And she's doing a great job on Vital. Obviously, pressuring the ball. She had a couple turnovers about 5-7 minutes ago. She's doing a great job keeping Vital from driving the lane.
Beacons lead cut down to 13 as Frimpong hits the first. Her second one is off the mark. Quinones has that ball go off the foot of Coppinger, and it'll go back to the Beacons. This Fitchburg State team, you got to give them credit. They hustle. They're really pesky, and right now, this game is still within reach for the Falcons despite UMass Boston shooting the ball extremely well. Bit of full court pressure from the Falcons with 4 players in the defensive end. Quinones over for Vital, being guarded by Frimpong. 37 to go on the game clock, about a 14-second difference between shot clock and game clock. Kicked across, looking for Dixon, couldn't quite get to her. She had to come forward. She was spotting up for 3. Grassi looking for a 3. She's fouled and won. A chance for the 4-point play. Coming out to try to defend it was McTomney, ran right into Grassi, and that's a huge possible play in this one. The lead goes up to 16, the potential for 17, and UMass Boston has a chance to really put this game out of reach heading into the half.
And that's something we haven't seen out of Grassi so far today. Obviously, she's been doing a great job down low, but a magnificent three-point shooter, and she showcases it right there.
Christina Ball is going to send in a couple subs before half, just trying to avoid some foul trouble as Grassi gets it to fall. Joey Grassi is going to be replaced by Sarah St. Cyrin, the 6'3" Connecticut product. Beacons also brought out Whitney Fulton, and it's the first time today we're seeing Kaylee Gaudier, the Delaware guard. There's a good drive from Mitchell, blocked by St. Cyrin. The Beacons a chance to extend the lead, already 17 with 12 seconds left in the half. Ball in the hands of Vital. Vital working on Frimpong, down to 6. Gets a screen from St. Cyrin, doesn't use it. Dixon with a chance to make it a 20-point game, but she travels, and now it'll be one last chance for Fitchburg State with 1.7 on the clock. Mitchell calling for the ball, grabs it just inside her own three-point line, throws it up a line drive well short, and that'll do it for the first half. Steve, a quick impression from that first half as the Beacons take a 17-point lead into the break.
Yeah, exciting if you're a Beacons fan. They just came out with a lot of energy, obviously knocking down a lot of shots, but also a lot of easy twos that they're finishing on that they didn't do against Becker.
We're going to take a commercial break, and then we'll head down low and have an interview with head coach Christina Baugh as the Beacons lead it 44-27 after 20 minutes.
Hi, my name's Carl Joseph. I'm currently a criminal justice major. I'm a senior. I am from Brockton, Massachusetts. In basketball, I play small forward / power forward, and in track, I'm a high jumper. Basketball has always been my first love. The favorite part was probably our win over MIT. Like that was tremendous. I almost came to tears just from where the program has come from where I first came here to where we are now. It's just amazing, and I love it. Honestly, I was recruited for basketball. My high school coach actually emailed the track coach here, and she walked into the gym one day and it was just like, here, you, come talk to me. And I was on the track team. It really wasn't much of a choice. It was a great honor my freshman year, just being able to become an All-American, finishing 4th in my first ever national championship meet. It was quite the time of my life. My junior year, we received our LEC championship rings from our sophomore year. And coming in into my freshman year at UMass, I was able to witness the volleyball team win their championship and the soccer team, and the only thing that I really wanted was a ring of my own.
Here's Joseph knifing through.
Funny thing is, I actually work here as well. I am one of the Zamboni drivers to our men's and women's hockey teams, and that's what I do for part-time. Being a student here at campus, I can honestly tell you, is quite different from anywhere else you could possibly go. Just the student body here is amazing. I mean, the teachers are amazing, all the teachers that I've had.
Joined by head coach Christina Baugh. Coach, you're up by 17, a much different start, and it really started with your seniors. Great defensive energy from Raven Kelsey and Lydia Vital. What does that say about them maybe trying to provide a little bit of leadership, knowing that sometimes it's difficult to get up for these games?
Yeah, I've been talking a lot with our seniors, just of their experience, and how we start the game is usually how you play for 40 minutes, and we didn't do that on Tuesday, so today was a big challenge for us. Could we win warm-ups? We did that with our energy, and I thought that carried over into the first quarter.
You said off air that you feel like you're losing. It's a 17-point lead, but it could be more. This Fitchburg State's a little bit smaller. You definitely have the length on them. What are you going to try to do in the third and fourth quarter in terms of execution?
We have to defend the three-point line. We have to rebound a little better. You know, we're tied in offensive rebounds. That probably shouldn't happen with their size versus us. So we got to get a little bit tougher on the defensive end. And we have to sprint the hot zone, which is top of the key, and that's how they're getting a lot of open looks in transition.
Finally, you play again on Saturday. This is the second of 3 games this week. Does that factor into your substitution pattern at all, just trying to keep players fresh for Saturday?
No, we're trying to win today, and we'll worry about Saturday.
Thanks so much for your time and your honesty. We'll head back up top right now and take a look at the highlights from women's hockey's Codfish Bowl championship game on Sunday.
Around with the aggressive force deck of running her chase. One takes the turnover. Hey, to the left of that one towards Leia. And now Leia centers in front. There's a final goal. With the left leg. By Janssen and the right leg. Turns the left. Gets there first. A good shot. Good save. There's a check. Good save. On the right one again.
(44-27) in favor of UMass Boston at the break. Christina Ball, though, wasn't that excited about her team's performance. She wanted to see more, and we'll take a look right now at the team statistics, Steve. UMass Boston certainly has the control in some areas, 48% from the field versus 23%, but the rebounding is only +8 in favor of UMass Boston. 13 turnovers. I think if you're a coach at any level, 13 turnovers and a half is never going to be something that makes you happy.
Well, I think the Beacons, personally, I think they're playing flawless basketball right now. They're playing great job. And when you look at the score sheet, there's about 9 different people that scored for the Beacons. 9.
About 9?
About 9.
We're going to we're going to just test that UMass Boston education. I kid. UMass Boston shooting 71% from the free throw line, better than normal. We'll take a look at the team leaders for these two sides. They have had quite a few different scores for UMass Boston. 9 from Grassi, a quiet 9 from Dixon, 8 from Quinones, 7 from Kelsey, 6 from Katie Matthew. On the other side, 9 from Malboof, 8 more from Michaela Mitchell, who also leads the team in rebounding. We talked about it a lot in the pregame. It was going to be a lot of different players contributing. UMass Boston already at this point has gone 13 deep, and for Fitchburg State, they're at 11 deep. So we've seen a lot of different players, and sometimes that makes it hard to get into a rhythm, but it also means that both of these teams should be extremely fresh for the second half.
Yeah, and the Beacons really haven't had a problem getting into a rhythm just because of the fact that they're doing a good job on defense that's it's correlating into easy baskets on offense. And that's it's really not a problem for UMass Boston. For Fitchburg State, I mean, Mablouf is doing a great job keeping Fitchburg in this game right now with 9 points and Mitchell with 8. That's the brunt of their scoring. We talked about how well they usually do with multiple scores. They're not doing that tonight.
Right now we'll take a look at the highlights from that first half. And it started off with UMass Boston doing a really nice job in transition, Steve. That first 2 to 3 minutes, the Beacons went down 2-0, and then they went on a 10-0 run. And a big part of it was forcing some turnovers and then getting some easy
balls
lanes.
thrown into the middle. Quinones
out ahead of the pack at an easy bucket. But then Fitchburg State came back, and you mentioned it. It's from 3. That's where Fitchburg State has been dangerous.
And Quinones doing a great job finishing tonight. Obviously, she's gotten bumped a couple times down low, and sometimes when you have a breakaway, sometimes you speed it up a lot, and you just speed up the moment a little bit. And she's doing a great job slowing everything down and just putting it in the cup.
Here's a couple more threes. A lot of these highlights are coming from Fitchburg State. They've hit some interesting shots down low, then some deep threes. There's Jelani Jackson from the corner on a wide open one. And here's the 4-point play. This was just a killer to push the Beacons lead from 13 out to 16 and then 17. A no-no if ever I've seen one. And for Grassi, it took a quiet half. She only had 5 points going into that point. Now she's tied for the lead with her 9 points. 9 points, 3 rebounds in 13 minutes to go along with 2 blocks. She's just a player who, no matter what, seems to put up big numbers.
Yeah, and you mentioned it, a quiet 9. Obviously, that was a 4-point play right there. But before that, it seemed that Matthews was doing a great job, Vital was doing a great job, and all the bench players that were coming off the bench were scoring for the Beacons. And really, you could see it on the scoreboard, 44 points in 2 quarters. A great job by the Beacons today.
Right now, we'll take a look at the Little East Conference scoreboard. There's no games going on quite yet, but there are quite a few, or there's 2 big matchups tonight. Number 26 UMass Dartmouth, just outside the top 25, travels to Bowdoin College, a team that we saw last year here at the Clark. Very impressive program out of the NESCAC. Amherst College, the defending national champion, will head down to Eastern Connecticut State. Amherst 33-0 last year, had just 3 wins by less than 10 points. This year picked 3rd. They lost quite a bit, but still a really strong program. Looking around Beaconville, it's a busy one this weekend for UMass Boston. Women's hockey will travel to Bowdoin tomorrow and then be back home on Saturday against Johnson & Wales. Number 6/9 men's hockey plays their rivalry weekend against Babson at Babson Friday, home on Saturday. Both basketballs will be on the road at Keene State. Women's basketball at 1, men's at 3, and then track and field host the UMass Boston Indoor Open. A lot of things to be excited for this upcoming Saturday, Steve.
Always an exciting December 3rd. It's always this weekend when it comes around. Always very exciting. It's obviously the 2nd and the 3rd. I know you put up the 2. But, yeah, you have track and field starting up. That's another great we have a national champion here at UMass Boston.
3-time national champion after her freshman year.
And then you have men's hockey taking on their arch rival, Babson, and women's hockey playing a very good team, Bowdoin College.
Right now we'll take a look at The men's hockey highlights from their last home game. It was a win over Skidmore College 5-2. UMass Boston leads 44-27 to start this third quarter. For Fitchburg State, they're going to bring out the starters. Mitchell, Marazi, McTomney out there alongside what looks like Thompson. And the last player out there is Michelle Logie, who we haven't seen much of, but Logie has it up top right now. For UMass Boston, they'll bring out the same starting five. Quinones out there with Grassi, Matthew, Vital, and Kelsey. Early miss ends up in the hands of Katie Matthew. Vital was looking for Kelsey, instead gives it up for Quinones.
And that's exactly what Fitchburg State needs to do. They got to get more people involved in their offense, and that's how they're going to get more points on the board.
Vital up top resets the offense with 12. Marazi just outside the three-point line. Grassi offering the pick. Vital will kick it over for Quinones from the near wing. Way too strong. The Beacons didn't hit the rim, Kelsey drains it. Had a second left on the shot clock, and the Beacons' lead is their largest of the game at 20.
And Kelsey, a senior, very exciting player to watch. So much confidence right now as she takes that shot.
Good drive there from McTomney, but she couldn't finish, and the Beacons already up 3-0 in the half, trying to extend that. Kelsey, a good ball fake, kicks it over for Matthew, but they're going to call the travel. That was such a huge shot because the Beacons missed. Kelsey knew she had to get it up. It wasn't her traditional form, but still able to drain it.
And Kelsey knows when to pass the ball or take it to the hoop. And you can see right there, she was kind of taking it to the hoop, see if she can't go baseline. Obviously traveled, but a great job kind of dishing it out.
Raven now with a team-high 10 points on 4 of 7 shooting. Marazi drives on Vital, but lost the dribble. Vital has Matthew out ahead. Grassi to her right. Finds her in stride. Right hand lay-in. Grassi took a little bit of contact on the way down. Beautiful feed from Lydia Vital. Out ahead, Kelsey steals it, drops it off, knowing she was going out of bounds, and eventually it's picked up by Quinones.
And the intensity hasn't dropped off for UMass Boston. You can see they're keep running up and down the floor, looking for loose balls. A great job so far in the second half.
Kelsey wanted to feed Grassi, instead goes back to the near side. Grassi can't get the catch, but it's out of bounds off McTomney. Coach Ball was asking for sprints. That's what we've seen out of Lydia Vital and Raven Kelsey to start this second half. Back and forth. Those players have made an impact on both sides of the ball, just as they did early on in the first quarter.
Back and forth and a couple transition baskets that really made it easy for the Beacons.
Well, there's a blooper for you. Lydia Vital was looking for Raven Kelsey. Kelsey turned her back at the wrong time and ends up having the ball go off the side of her face and out of bounds for a Fitchburg State ball. Beacons are able to laugh it off, up by 22, but it'll certainly sting a little bit for Raven. Drive there. Kelsey reads it perfectly. They were trying to find Logie. Matthew trying to go over a Falcon, and it's tapped out of bounds off of Fitchburg State. Unselfish play in transition for UMass Boston. Kelsey had her head up the entire time, able to find her fellow senior Katie Matthew. Beacons find Quinones, and Quinones hits off the underside of the basket. Should have been an easy two. McTomney on the kick out, finds Marazi. Marazi, good drive, kicks it out near side, but first the travel.
Wouldn't have been a travel in the NBA, I'll tell you that much.
Well, that's an interesting slight. Don't disagree necessarily. Megan Dixon replaces Katie Matthew. 49-27, UMass Boston. 7 minutes and 40 seconds to go in quarter number 3. Beacons led by double digits early. They've led by at least 8 for most of this game. Dixon, well off the mark again, has not found her shot today. And a lot of these three-pointers are being taken 2-3 feet behind the line. I'm not quite sure why Megan feels the need to hit the highlight reel three.
Well, sometimes as a three-point shooter, I used to be in 8th grade basketball. You don't really realize where you are on the court. And sometimes, you know, you're just kind of looking to get your shot off, and you don't even know how far away you are from the basket.
So maybe you're drifting as Dixon finds Grassi for a much easier two. Can't finish. Marazi collects the rebound ahead for a teammate, and Dixon is there for the steal.
Sometimes you just need a coach to say, hey, you're 3 feet behind the arc. Take a step up when you're kind of getting into place.
Vital all the way to the hoop, throws it up with the right hand, and the Beacons lead is 24. Lydia, not a player who looks for her own shot all that often. There's a step back three and a big bucket there for Emma Thompson. She's been quiet for the most part. We'll get a media timeout. UMass Boston has extended their lead out to 21 with 6:55 left in the quarter.
UMass Boston was my first choice because when I came to the campus, I saw that there was a lot of diversity. There's a lot of people. Here there's a lot of international students, so it's really cool to meet people from different countries, different parts of the world. I'm Julia Murphy. I'm from Canton, Massachusetts.
I'm Olivia Murphy. I'm from Canton, Massachusetts.
We're sisters.
We're sisters.
I play volleyball and she plays basketball. Here they have a freshman success community. So each major has their own community that you can join as a freshman, and you take classes with them, you do study groups with them. So it was really helpful getting to know people in your major right away.
So in health exercise sciences, we have an internship at the end, so it's so much better to have like an advisor helping you out, like telling you which classes to choose.
$51-30 UMass Boston with 6:55 to go in the quarter. We'll take a look ahead right now for UMass Boston. UMass Boston will be at Keene State on Saturday at 1 for their conference opener. Beacons won in overtime last year at Keene State before dropping the home game. Then they'll host Framingham State, a big one on Tuesday. Framingham State, the top team in the MASCAC, pick number 1. They've had a really strong couple years. And then UMass Boston will host Rhode Island College next Saturday in their LEC home opener. So, again, Steve, UMass Boston's going to be tested more than they have these first couple of games. Beacon's team has done a nice job. Dixon will pass up the deep three, drives with the right hand, too strong. Rebound goes into the hands of Logie, off the foot of Dixon and out of bounds.
Yeah, it'll be interesting here. Obviously, you're up 21, and you're going into a huge weekend. It'll be interesting if they try to keep feeding Dixon to see if they can't get her confidence up a little bit. Such a good game the last couple games. Just not having the shot tonight. It'll be interesting if they keep feeding her.
35 combined points her last 2 games. She hasn't looked herself in this one. Did have 9 points in the first half, but she has not necessarily had the touch from distance, at least 0 for 5. And Megan will trot off with Whitney Fulton, replacing her. Easy basket there for Fitchburg off the inbounds, and it's a 19-point Beacons lead. Frimpong back in the game. She's been the best on-ball defender today for Fitchburg State, especially against the Beacons point guards. Grassi's already drained 1-3 today. Looks to drive, though, and she's too strong on the lefty lay-in. Fulton tried to get it back over for her big and throws it out of bounds.
Interesting move there to put Grassi behind the arc. I mean, she did such a great job really working the paint last half that they're kind of just putting her out. I mean, obviously she hit that 3, but they are up 19 points.
Well, she's a player who can do that, though, for UMass Boston, especially against bigs who are a little bit bigger than Fitchburg State's bigs and don't feel comfortable coming out to the three-point line. Grassi's a threat from distance, and she can drive as well. Vital ahead for Fulton. Fulton pulls up from the baseline. Can't quite finish. UMass Boston's had a lot of balls that have gone in and out of the cylinder here to start the second half. Great drive, but first we're going to get a foul on the floor. Vital can't believe it, and neither can Michaela McTomney, who did all the hard work, rather Emma Thompson, but doesn't get credit for the basket.
And Vital's kind of gotten nicked with that a couple times. Obviously, last game and this game, it's their first. It'll be interesting to see how they kind of handle that going into a conference weekend where everything is magnified.
Gianna Williams replaces Raven Kelsey. There's the 3 from Logie. Rebound tapped out for Michaela Mitchell. Mitchell tried to really thread the needle there for McTomney, and it ends up out of bounds. UMass Boston has given up quite a few offensive rebounds, especially from the midway point of the second quarter here into the third quarter against a team that just doesn't have the same kind of size as the Beacons do.
Yeah, Gianna Williams coming out obviously gives them more size down low. So it'll be interesting if they kind of improve those numbers later on.
Quinona is able to grab the defensive board and then draws the foul on McTomney. It's the first of the half on Fitchburg State, both teams with 1 team foul. In that first half, Beacons had a couple players with 2 fouls. Jelani Jackson alone with 3. McTomney just picked up her 3rd foul, the lone player for Fitchburg State with more than 2. Vital draws the foul on Frimpong, and that's what the Beacons are asking for. If you're going to call the hand check foul, the small contact against Vital, you have to call both ways. And Frimpong is charged with her first foul, 2nd on the Falcons.
And Malbouf coming off the bench for Fitchburg State. Kind of interesting how they had her come off the bench again, even though she's their leading point scorer and really carrying this offense tonight.
Well, she's been coming off the bench all season, but obviously a player who can provide offense off the bench is Alicia Quinones. Continues to have the hot hand. Alicia had 8 in the first half. She's up to 12 for the game and really has been feasting down low. Wide open 3 from the near corner. Unable to convert was Emma Thompson, who getting those looks, just hasn't had a lot of success this year from beyond the arc.
And that's one of the struggles for Fitchburg State tonight. Obviously not hitting those 3-point that are wide open and also not hitting those that are kind of contested.
Grassi rattles one in on the other side. The Beacons lead is 24, a game high. Joey's got a pair of 3s on just 2 attempts. Chance for Thompson to convert, and this time she knocks it down. So Emma Thompson couldn't hit one from the corner, knocks it down from the wing. It's 56-35 Beacons. Sarah St. Surin awaits the check-in. Only played 30 seconds in that first half. 6'3" big. Now we're going to get a foul on Malbouf down low, working against Williams.
Only played 30 seconds in the first half, but had a great block down low to really, it led to a basket for the Beacons. So she had a great 30 seconds and deserves more in the second half.
We're going to get a media timeout here with 4:04 to go in the quarter. UMass Boston 56, Fitchburg State 35 with 14 minutes to play.
People at UMass Boston, they're here because they know they can have an impact, not just on research, but on people, on their students.
This is just a starting point. It only has potential to grow, and it has a big potential to grow up.
You're really having a direct impact on people's lives, and you can see that now, and you can see that years from now.
So I think it's becoming like the place that people want to go. What UMass Boston is able to offer to its young people certainly stands out to that mission that was set right out in the beginning. It's something UMass Boston should be and can be very proud about.
UMass Boston leads by 21 with 4:04 to play. The Beacons have yet to empty the bench. Still 14 minutes left, but this Beacons team, as Chris Baugh said, it's about finishing this one off, continuing to compete, and for UMass Boston, there's still some things to tinker with and to iron out before their game on Saturday at Key.
Yeah, and also you want to stay sharp. I mean, the Beacons had off about a week before Becker College, and you could see it in their shots. They just couldn't hit, and you don't want a late start against Keene State, especially at Keene State on Saturday.
Yeah, you'd love to get a win in that conference opener, and then a really difficult game next Saturday against the Rhode Island College team that's off to a surprising 5-1 start. Vital has it knocked back at her, picks it up, tries to get it down to St. Certain, and it's knocked out of bounds by Frimpong.
But when you're looking at conference games, you look one at a time. You don't look, we're playing this team this weekend, this team next weekend. A lot changes in a week, and the Beacons are playing it great so far.
Vital finds Fulton way off the mark for two, but the Beacons grab the rebound. 18 on the shot clock. Whitney just needed to move the radar a little bit on that one as she was a good foot or two to the right. Fulton with it here. Up top for Vital. Kicks it around for Williams. Matthew goes to work with four. Beacons need to get it up. Williams, not a three-point shooter, has one. She'll toss it up. Hits the rim. The long rebound goes out of bounds. Second or third time today the Beacons have gone down to those final seconds. Kelsey hit one. The Beacons were called for a 30-second shot clock. And then there, it just a couple times it seems like the Beacons are hesitant to shoot the ball.
And it's a lot of newcomers around the ball that haven't really dealt with the ball a lot often, so sometimes they don't even look at the shot clock.
Malbooth grabs the offensive rebound and able to get underneath of St. Cyrin and knock down the lane. Gianna Williams is going to try her hand at a three. She's short. Matthew throws a player to the ground in Marazzi, and that's a pretty easy loose ball foul.
And that's something you really don't want. Obviously, Gianna Williams, not the best three-point shooter. You don't want to fall into bad habits before conference tournament.
First conference play, but I know what you're saying there.
Yes, exactly, yes.
That was Gianna Williams' first three-point attempt of the year, just a little bit short. Still a 19-point lead. Here's Malbooth going to work on St. Cyr, forced backwards, and that won't count as a block, but it might as well be a great shot alter from St. Cyr. And Vital tries to go all the way, hit on the wrist there by Marazzi, who's in shock, and Lydia Vital will head to the line for two free throws.
And St. Cyrin right now is earning her playing time, doing a great job down low and really moving around in the box looking for the ball. And that's what you want if you're Coach Baugh, when you're playing a team that obviously a little less talented than you, and you're up 20 points. You want to see those younger players start to flourish. So maybe she could throw her in for 50 seconds on Saturday.
Kaylee Gauthier checks in for UMass Boston as well. She got a little bit of run time in that first half. Gauthier, just her third appearance of the season, saw 11 minutes against Riviere and a couple minutes against Coast Guard. Steve, the other thing is St. Cyrin, Naira Mitchell, and Shania Osborne, the other big that we haven't seen for UMass Boston, all coming off of injuries. So these players still probably working on their mobility a little bit as there's a foul on St. Cyrin on the pass. It seems like they're still a little hesitant with their movement, so they need some of that game time to get back up to speed.
And a lot more bigs this year for UMass Boston. I mean, we talked about it last year What they lacked was a big. They had a bunch of point guards, a lot of shooters, a lot of people that could push the ball and attack the ball, but they really didn't have that big. And Raven Kelsey kind of played as the big for the Beacons last year.
So scoreboard read 5 team fouls on the Beacons, which would have meant the double bonus. Instead, it was only the 4th. Next team foul against UMass Boston will lead to free throws. Instead, St. Cyrin with another great job of altering Malibu's shot, forcing an air ball, and we've got a foul from behind as Vital did a good job boxing out Frimpong.
And looking at this Beacons bench, a lot of versatility, a lot of height, and a lot of talent. And you could see it. It's not like the Beacons are really dropping off when they're kind of subbing all these different girls in. It's still the same 20-point game, and they're kind of going back and forth with Fitchburg.
You get a pair of free throws for UMass Boston. That was actually the 5th on the Falcons. Momentary lapse in focus there. So 5 on Fitchburg State, 3 on UMass Boston. Vital will take the first one and knock it down. Couple of subs for UMass Boston. Tajay Mazik into the game for Whitney Fulton. Jelani Jackson is waiting for Lydia Vital. On the other side for Fitchburg State, they've brought back Michaela Mitchell and Chloe Roberts. Vital knocks down both shots. So it'll be Jackson, St. Cyrin, Gautier, Mazik, and Kelsey. Kelsey, the lone returner and lone non-freshman out there for the Beacons. Malbuth from the three-point line. That's a dangerous spot for St. Cyrin to guard. Malbuth will take the three. She's shown she's capable, and St. Cyrin is called for the foul. Steve, we saw it in the men's game where Kevin Lewis-Jean a couple times was forced to guard three-point shooters. It's not something that St. Cyrin is used to, and Malbuth able to take advantage. She's not able to knock the shot down, but heads to the line for 3.
And it happened multiple times in the game versus Becker. It was they had, I think it was 3 times they found the person behind 3-point, and that's something you have to clean up because it's not going to go over well, especially in conference play.
Steve, you're right. It was Joey Grassi was called for a pair of closeouts on a 3-point shooter. Malbuth knocks down the first 2. She's in double digits. Already was, as she had 9 in the first half, hit a layup earlier on in the half, up to 13, with a chance to cut the deficit to 20, and she does so. So Malbuth takes advantage with 3 made free throws. The Beacons lead is 20 with 2:28 to play in the third quarter.
And Malbuth is the hot hand for Fitchburg State tonight. Why not feed her? I mean, she's doing a great job behind the arc and can kind of spark this Fitchburg offense.
Jackson for Mazik, and Mazik knocks it down. One of the few made 3-pointers tonight for UMass Boston, pushing the lead back to 23. Malbuth with the dribble up top, able to find Mitchell. A hard drive over Jackson, can't finish, and Gautier with the rebound.
And right there, Malbuth was looking for the ball and wide open in the corner.
Jackson, a very competent ball handler, former MVP at Brockton High School, one of the better high school programs in the state of Massachusetts on both the men's and women's side. Near side for Jackson, St. Cyrin asking for the ball on the block. Instead, it's kicked across for Kelsey, looking for a 3. She's had the hot hand today, and she knocks down another one. Frimpong into the front court, able to find Roberts from the near side. The answer, back-to-back threes, and it's a 23-point lead. You can see why these two teams have shot so well from beyond the arc there.
23-point lead, but a very exciting couple of possessions. And you can see why they both have such great offenses. Fitchburg State starting to showcase it now.
Well, Fitchburg State trying to put a little bit of full court pressure, leading to this game speeding up. St. Cyrin can't make the catch. Then she's called for the reach-in. That's 3 fouls on Sarah St. Cyrin, all in this quarter. And we're going to see Kalilah Hall check in. It's possibly for Sarah St. Cyrin. This is the 15th foul on the Beacons, and it's going to be Catherine Coppinger, the local Boston player, heading to the line.
And sometimes when you're a freshman, you get a little excited your first playing time. You tend to grab a little more, and those are resulting in the St. Cyrin's fouls right there.
Coppinger knocks down the first to cut the deficit to 22. Kalilah Hall will replace Sarah St. Cyrin. Quite a difference in height. Kalilah stands at 5'7". Sarah St. Cyrin at 6'3", so Raven Kelsey will play the 5 right now for the Beacons. Coppinger knocks down both. Fitchburg State's hit 5 straight free throws to cut the deficit to 21.
And the Beacons have faced full court press the last 2 games, and the guards do a great job of just beating it by themselves sometimes.
Jackson pulls up just inside the free throw line. Gautier had the rebound in her hands, pulled away by Frimpong. Frimpong all the way across for Roberts, finds Malbooth down low, can't finish. Good defense from Jelani Jackson. 11-second difference between game clock and shot clock, down to 20 on the shot clock, 30 on the game clock as Jackson gets a pick from Gautier. Over to the near side for Hall. Kalilah's coming off a knee injury, just like a lot of these Beacons. Has to give the ball up after a good closeout from the Falcons. Down to 5 on the shot clock. What can Mazik do with it? Drives with her left hand all the way to the hoop. Can't finish. Hall's there down low. She's blocked and fouled. And Kalilah Hall will head to the line for the first time today and first time this season for the freshman out of Cambridge, Mass.
Mazik doing a great job not panicking when she sees the shot clock kind of dwindle down to less than 5 seconds, but driving the hoop and getting a quality shot off.
Kalilah Hall unable to convert on the first one. It's the front of the rim. Kalilah in her 4th appearance as a Beacon. 22 minutes this year, 8 points on 4 of 8 shooting, 2 rebounds and 2 assists. A Cambridge Ringe and Latin High School product, and knocks down the second. Now 1 of 2 for her career from the line. 6 seconds left in the quarter. Mitchell picks up the dribble, needs help, finds Frimpong, stripped away from Kelsey. Frimpong gets it back, and Fitchburg State will not get a shot up. So UMass Boston stretches their lead from 17 to 22, and they'll head into the 4th quarter with a sizable lead, looking to stretch their winning streak out to 4 in a row.
The 5-campus UMass system is the university that educates the workforce of Massachusetts. We recognize that we are truly here for a reason, and that recognition inspires us and drives us every single day.
Paris changed my life, and I got there through UMass. Those very specific seminal moments in Paris, the subway. A man in a tuxedo walked in, and a woman in a long gown, and it was stunning. It all hit me. It was like a lightning bolt. There was this world of beauty and style that I wanted to be a part of. That was the beginning of the journey. And that all came through the University of Massachusetts. And that was really a key moment for me. That's one of those moments you never forget.
Ten minutes left to go in this non-conference affair, and right now we'll take a brief look ahead for UMass Boston. Mentioned it already, the Beacons, it's going to get a little tougher from here at Keene State on Saturday. The Keene State Owls are in their first ever Division III Little East Conference Tournament Championship. Keene State, of course, a former Division II school, had never won a conference championship at the D3 level. Then Framingham State, the top team in the MASCAC preseason poll, on Tuesday at home. And then the Beacons LEC home opener on next Saturday at 1 p.m. against Rhode Island College. And Steve, I know you say you don't look ahead. The one thing about this first semester that makes it different is you get 2 conference games. You never want to start 0-2. 1-1 is okay, but if you can go 2-0, you're really putting yourself in a good spot in a 14-game conference schedule. Up top, it's Gautier looking for an early basket. Can't convert there, and Raven Kelsey's called for the hip check on Marazi.
Yeah, sometimes it's interesting with basketball, obviously, because there is kind of 2 halves with 2 different semesters, and there's a break in between, so you can kind of split it up like that. And going into the break, you want to be 2-0, especially a younger team. They need a little confidence, especially playing in conference play.
Ball tapped away by Jackson. Jackson has Kelsey out ahead of the pack. Jelani's going to keep it herself. Goes over for Kelsey. Feeds Mazik, who looked like there was a little contact there, but the referees will keep their whistle to themselves. Logie out ahead. Jelani Jackson gets in front of it, but coming all the way through, ripping it down and getting the basket is McTomney, who didn't give up on the play.
And every sport, conference play is magnified to the fullest. So it's going to be a good test, especially up at Keene State. Lydia Vitale, her ex-team, Two great wins this week for UMass Boston, but it should be interesting this weekend.
Ball kicked out for Mazik, a long two. Contested there, and the ball is tapped down into the hands of Michaela Mitchell. Mitchell will kick it out, up top for Thompson, and now into the hands of Marazi. Most of the starters in there for Fitchburg State. The Beacons will send two of their starters to the scorer's table, and Raven Kelsey's called for her second foul in as many minutes. 2 team fouls on the Beacons, both on Kelsey. Raven in that first half was whistled twice, so she's got 4 right now. And she's likely one of the 2 players coming out when Allie Love and Alicia Quinones head into the game. It was actually Katie Matthew and Quinones a second ago, but Matthew retreats to the bench. And it'll be Quinones, one of the Beacons' returners, and Allie Love, the freshman out of Winthrop, Mass.
And now everyone that is able to suit up and play in a game has reached tonight for the Beacons, and that's a great sign, honestly, especially in these games that you're kind of blowing a team out. You want to see what these freshmen can do that haven't gotten a lot of game experience.
Mazik across for Love. Now it's Gautier with the right hand off the mark. She's 0 for 2 here in the quarter. Been looking for her shot, and it's Quinones running into the back of McTomney there. Called for the 3rd foul already for UMass Boston. Steve, you say able to suit up. The Beacons do have a couple players who have yet to appear in a game this year, still a little banged up. Maya Doherty, Caitlin Vasquez, and Shania Osborne still have yet to make their collegiate debuts.
And talking about those that are able to, that I haven't really seen so far yet this season, Sarah St. Cyrin doing a great job defensively and kind of being active in the paint. Definitely wowed me her first time seeing her on a basketball court.
Thompson, deep 3, too strong, but another offensive rebound. This time into the hands of McTomney. 4 team fouls for UMass Boston in the opening 147. McTomney will head to the line for 2 free throws. It's actually the 5th. They were a little slow on the scoreboard. So Fitchburg State is going to shoot free throws for the rest of this game. Down 18. It's a long way to come back, but certainly free throws when no time is coming off the clock is going to help that case. Tomney 0 for 2, and Quinones rips down the defensive board.
And Vital and Grassi coming back in the game, checking back in. Definitely don't want this game to get a little out of hand if you're a Beacons fan.
Yeah, you'd love to be able to cruise your way through this 4th quarter. Vital and Grassi, 2 calming factors there. Kalilah Hall goes to the hoop and gets the friendly bounce, pushing the lead back out to 20.
Friendly a bounce and a nice touch by Kalilah Hall.
Kalilah out of Cambridge, Mass, as is Vital. Couple of years difference between the senior and freshman. Good answer from McTomney, and now it's dribbled out of bounds by Mazik right in front of the Fitchburg bench. Mazik and Gautier will check out. Vital and Grassi back in there with Quinones, Love, and Hall. We expected this game to be high scoring. Right now, UMass Boston at 69 with 7:30 to go. 51 points for Fitchburg State, well below their average. And we've got an offensive foul against Michelle Logie.
And if you're Fitchburg State, that's unacceptable. Obviously, going on a little bit of a run, gets a turnover, and get the ball back. And to have an offensive foul that you just give up a possession like that, that's one of the reasons why they're down 18 tonight.
Especially that far away from the basket. Vital for Quinones. Quinones has really had her way in getting to the hoop today. Allie Love, another player coming off an injury. She wore the knee brace the first couple games. Quinones trying to get the pass over for Vital. It gets knocked down, and Quinones is tied up. This time it'll go back to the Falcons as the Beacons had the possession arrow the last couple times there was a tie-up.
And Love looking a little hesitant right there at the top of the key. No one was really guarding her, but she didn't take the shot and pull the trigger.
Still 7 minutes left in this one. The Beacons have led since going down 2-0. It's been all UMass Boston. They answered with a 10-0 run. That one off the mark out of the hands of McTomney. There have been spurts where Fitchburg State has looked a slightly better team, but for the most part, UMass Boston has controlled this matchup of teams picked in 5th in their conference preseason polls. Hall had Grassi. Instead, she gets it back up top. Quinones trying to find Grassi. Beacons have struggled with that entry pass today at points. Grossi getting sandwiched between a pair of Falcons and unable to get her hands on the ball.
And they were double teaming Grossi. So Love was wide open in the corner, but hasn't really pulled the trigger yet so far.
6 seconds on the shot clock. Quinones doesn't draw the iron, but she does draw the foul. She'll head to the line for 2 free throws. It's been a while since we've seen UMass Boston head to the line. Alicia out of Stoughton, Mass. Was a bench contributor as a freshman, but has started every game this season and has been one of the Beacons' better players. Alicia coming into this one averaging 10.4 points, 5.4 rebounds, and 2 steals. Played soccer, basketball, and softball in high school. She knocks down 1 of 2. We'll see Grossi, only came on about a minute ago, check out. Naira Mitchell check back in. Mitchell out of Easton, Mass. Saw a couple minutes of action in the first half. Another one of those 6-foot freshman bigs on this Beacons roster. Vital's called for another one. And you can count the basket. A chance for the N1 for Angelina Marazzi. A lot of fan support for Fitchburg State. There was literally no one clapping out there but the bench on what was a really nice play from Angelina.
And Vital commenting on that, she's got to be better this weekend, especially at Keene State. You don't want one of your veteran players to be out for the majority of the game because of foul trouble.
Well, that's all about just gaining position there, right? You have to make sure that you're in a position where that player can't draw the contact. And Vital so quick with the hands, sometimes it's the feet that can cost you. We're going to take a commercial break. That was the immediate timeout along with the Fitchburg State timeout. UMass Boston still leads by 16.
The University of Massachusetts Boston. It's just minutes from downtown, and the Princeton Review calls it one of the best values in the country. A nationally recognized institution of academic excellence and research, UMass Boston offers more than 150 undergraduate and graduate programs, 16 Division III sports, and more than 100 student organizations. To learn more about the opportunities waiting for you at UMass Boston, visit in person or online. UMass Boston, a research university with a teaching soul.
6:25 to play in quarter number 4. Remember, Beacons fans, you can check us out on social media. You can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at UMass Beacons. And, of course, you can check out the recap of this one after the game on beaconsathletics.com. The Beacons lead by 16 with 6 minutes and 25 seconds to go. UMass Boston still mixing and matching starters and bench players. 2 starters out there and 3 players who haven't seen all that much time during their freshman season. Vital met by the double team just inside the half-court line. Mitchell finds Hall, who's fouled, and she'll head to the line for 2 more. Seen really good work from Kalilah Hall, who already has 3 points. A chance to add to that total after not seeing any time in the first 2.5 quarters.
Definitely a nice shot and a nice touch by Kalilah Hall. We talked about it. A lot of these Beacons that came in here are a little banged up. And she's just one of them. And sometimes after an injury, you just need a little game time to get you back to your pace.
Yeah, Kalilah's another one of those players who's been sporting the brace. Today she just has the knee band, but player who's constantly icing and trying to get back to full strength. Hall hits both of them. She's got 5 here over the past 10 minutes of game action. A little bit more run time than she's been seeing. Down low, it's McTomney kicking it out for Logie, who's too strong. Long rebound into the hands of Quinones. And who else? It's Vital running ahead of the pack. Quinones right down Broad Street, and she gets it stuck inside the rim on what could have been an easy 2. It'll stay with the Beacons as they have the possession arrow, and that's just a little bit bad luck.
I wouldn't go with an easy 2. I think she got a little bumped at the end, but I see what you're saying, Seth.
All right, well, that's your prerogative. Dayson Sinelli is the kind Samaritan, a member of the Beacons men's basketball team who will go up and dislodge the ball.
A little celeb action.
Yeah, it certainly helps when you're easily capable of dunking to just tap it up there, whereas David Wahlberg, the Beacons sports information director, was going over to grab another basketball.
Or yourself.
I couldn't quite get to that ball, if I'm being completely honest. Hall on the inbounds. She's got 7 on the perfect feed from Lydia Vital.
And doing a great job using her body to kind of assert position down low and an easy lay-in for two.
Yeah, Kalilah just 5'7", but she does have a strong core there, and she's able to get inside position. Going to get a foul against UMass Boston and 2 free throws upcoming.
And the Beacons have really struggled kind of asserting themselves defensively in this second half, and they've been fouling a lot. It's not a good habit to get into going into a conference weekend.
No, UMass Boston had been whistled 5 times in this quarter before the 2-minute mark. We still have 5 minutes and 40 seconds left, and Fitchburg State continues to go to the line. This time it's Angelina Marazzi. Good on the first, can't quite hit the second. The rebound ends up in the hands of Malboof. Kicks it out for Marazzi, a chance for the 4-point play, and she does. Not the traditional play. She hit the free throw before the 3. Cuts the deficit back down to 16. Still not in that dangerous spot, Steve, but just close enough where it makes you think. Vital well off the mark on the layup, and then Quinones just wrestles a player to the ground. Not a smart foul, as we're going to see more free throws for Fitchburg State.
Yeah, and it'll slow this game down, and obviously as a Beacons fan and Coach Baugh, you really don't want to see this, especially this late in the game, because that was kind of a silly foul.
Just trying to grab the offensive rebound, and it'll be McTomney here, who takes a jump shot on her free throws. It's just a little hop, but definitely not the traditional look.
Well, everyone's got their own thing, you know. I used to bounce it 5 or 6 times and then chuck up a brick, you know. Everyone's got their own way of doing free throws.
Well, at least you're honest. McTomney off the mark on the first. Raven Kelsey's back out there with 4 fouls. Quinones checks off. I think she has 3 or 4 of her own. Strong defensive rebound by Raven Kelsey. Kelsey will get it ahead for Vital. 5:12 to play. UMass Boston looking for their 4th consecutive victory. Fitchburg State trying to have a comeback here and earn their 4th win in a row. Tajay Mazik back into the game alongside Kelsey. The skip pass to the near side. Can Hall hit another one? A little bit short on the 3, and it's out of bounds off UMass Boston.
And not a bad move by UMass Boston. Kind of waste some time, get the clock down. Obviously, Fitchburg State can go to the line with any fouls. So you want to slow this game down if you're UMass Boston and not really push the pace.
Marazzi, a strong drive. Great job by Hall to just stay up and avoid the foul, but Marazzi to finish anyway. Cuts the deficit to 14. Mitchell back for Vital, and the Beacons will slow it down here with 4:38. The clock is their friend. Mercy Frimpong providing a little bit of pressure outside the 3-point line. Kelsey, a couple dribbles over for Mazik, and now Mitchell. Kicks it out for Hall. Great ball fake. She'll take the 2 instead. She's got 9 points in the 3rd and 4th quarters, and the lead is 16. Steve, this is a player that we really haven't seen at home. Big block from Mitchell. Hall the rebound, tries to find Vital, stolen away by Marazzi. Marazzi all alone, the right-hand lane, and that's one of the few mistakes we've seen Kalilah make today.
And we haven't seen her like you were talking about. And sometimes with an injury, you don't know how long to kind of keep the player out there, but it looks like she's doing good right now. Obviously a great shot.
There's a strong drive from Mazik, a bit too strong on the lane, and Raven Kelsey will wisely dribble it out.
And that's huge for the Beacons, obviously, to get the ball back, slow this game down. I think they're still looking to score, and right now they just have to slow the game down just a little bit.
Christina Baugh will take a timeout with 3:36 to go, and the Beacons up by 14. Not quite a runaway at this point, but certainly a comfortable lead as we're going to take our final media time out of the game. UMass Boston 3:37 away from a 4th consecutive victory.
Celebrate the soggy shoes and the slow starts. Celebrate the lessons learned along the way. These are the wins. Not the shiny nail-biting kind. These are the last a lifetime kind.
as they've done all day long. Fitchburg State, the first team out of the timeout. The Beacons taking every second of it. For Fitchburg State, Marazi out there with Malbooth, Peyton Holmes, Hannah Keowen. First time we've seen Keowen. And Carrie Broadbeck, another one of those Boston natives, the junior out of Boston Latin. Keowen, the junior guard out of Lunenburg, Massachusetts. Started all 25 games as a freshman when the team went 0-25. She's been coming off the bench this year, seeing about 4.4 minutes a game. There's a deep three, and it's Whitney Fulton just off the bench from straight away.
And absolutely all net. Great play by Christina Baugh to drive up right there.
Fulton was scoreless in the first half, comes off the bench and knocks down a three, but she's out of bounds there trying to track down the rebound. Good sign for Whitney Fulton, who's in the mix amongst those point guards and guards for a minute. She'd just seen about 25 minutes of action coming into today's game. Here's Malbooth working on St. Cyr, another rejection ahead for Mazik.
And it was a save move she was doing all night, kind of the spin around, go to her good side, and obviously they kind of picked up on that.
Well, Malbooth's giving up about 6 or 7 inches to St. Cyr, and it just knocked that one down. Vital over in the corner for Mazik, drives wide open, but just short on the lay-in. Going the other way, out ahead of the pack, and having her pass knocked away was Keowen.
And you know, you're doing the post-game interview after this. I'd love for you to ask what player really stood out to Coach Baugh today.
Malbooth from distance, a little bit short that time. St. Cyr in the rebound and able to find Vital. Well, Steve, I'll take your suggestion. Into the corner, Mazik looking for one. She's short, and the ball will end up in the hands of another one of those Boston natives, Carrie Broadbeck, one of the 2 Boston natives on this Fitchburg roster. They have more players who are from Boston than they do from Fitchburg. Boston has a slightly larger population. And there's Carrie Broadbeck with a bucket in front of the home fans. Big applause from her teammates. Carrie on the season has just 3 points, 1 of 12 from the field.
And last year, I think that one of the Beacons' weaknesses was they didn't really have a bench. They only had 5 or 6 players that could really play elite in a college game. And you see tonight that they have about 12, 15 girls that can really play.
Fitchburg trying to cut into the deficit even more, but Peyton Holmes' three is off the mark. On the other side, Vital all the way. Another lane out ahead of the pack, and the Beacons have reached the 80-point mark, 81-64. UMass Boston will use a timeout. They'll get a couple more subs, and we'll take one last commercial break. The Beacons lead 81-64.
Something I discovered in myself is that if I have a goal, I can accomplish it.
It's a well-rounded experience.
At a Division III school, you primarily a student athlete, so the school is really shaped around you developing yourself as a complete individual.
It helps a lot that you have a family with your team that can guide you.
Out of the timeout, Katie Matthew will get a little bit of run time. Haven't seen her in a while, one of the Beacon seniors. Out there with Kelsey, Vital, St. Cyr, and Fulton. Holmes looking to drive on Matthew, draws contact, and the last thing you want to do if you're UMass Boston, send the Falcons to the line for 2 more free throws.
And I'll tell you what, I don't think that was a foul, even close to a foul. I thought that was good defense, good positioning. I don't know what the ref saw there.
Matthew trailing a little bit, maybe a little bit of contact in the lower body. Sometimes on those plays, that's where the foul comes from rather than up top. Fitchburg, that was their 20th free throw attempt of the game. They're now 14 of 20 as St. Cyr will be replaced by Gianna Williams. Peyton Holmes came in 4 for 4 on the season from the free throw line. That's her first miss. Now 5 of 6. Raven Kelsey rips down another rebound. Kelsey has been very aggressive in limited minutes. Now up to 6 rebounds on the day. Fulton down low for Gianna Williams. Double team back for Fulton, and now Vital can't grab the pass. Able to keep the ball at half court. And a pretty obvious push, Steve. I don't know if you saw the foul, but I was pretty clear on that one that Keown might have made some contact with Vital.
Yeah, I'm not being biased, but I did see that foul.
4th team foul on Fitchburg State, so it won't lead to free throws.
But a great job by Vital for not to have that being a backcourt. Very close, obviously, to going to the backcourt.
In a close game, that's a huge play. In this game, not as big of a play, but certainly you love the hustle. 16-point game, Vital gives it right back. She might have been contacted there, wasn't happy with the lack of a call. Ball thrown up and in. 3rd or 4th time we've seen it today by Fitchburg State on an awkward-looking shot, but Keown able to knock it down and draw the game back down to a 14-point Beacons lead. Vital for Matthew, under a minute to play. UMass Boston has led pretty much the entire way. They went down 2-0 early on, answered with the 10-0 run, and this game hasn't been closer than 7 or 8 the rest of the way. Vital with 10 on the shot clock. The Beacons need to take a shot here, give up a shot clock violation as it's out of bounds off Malbooth with 6 seconds left, and a chance for UMass Boston in one of these situations where they haven't looked their best.
Yeah, I mean, right now they're just kind of drawing out the clock, trying to figure something out, and a turnover here, a little sloppy.
Throws into the backcourt. It wasn't a turnover because the Beacons hadn't had possession, but a turnover because the Beacons only had 6 seconds left. So a sloppy play. Certainly something that Christina Ball will talk about with the team heading into their game against Keene State. Beacons team had been really good with the turnovers. 20 in their opener, 15 or less their last 4 games, but not so much today. They had 13 in the first half, certainly well over 20 for the game.
And I think that had to do with the fact that people that usually didn't really get a lot of time saw the ball a lot more, especially freshmen.
I'd agree with that. I think it's a very good assessment there. The Beacons will dribble the ball out, passing up the shot as UMass Boston had the big lead. 81-67, UMass Boston with the victory. The Beacons improve their winning streak to 4 in a row, improve overall to 5-1. Fitchburg State down to 3-3. UMass Boston now 17-11 all-time against the Falcons and 3 for 3 under head coach Christina Ball. We'll take a commercial break and then head down low with an interview with head coach Christina Ball after this.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks.
The UMass Boston Beacons baseball team, who went 23-15 this year, and have consistently been a leader in their conference without having a home field to play on. That will change next season.
I am so happy and excited to join Boston College High School and your wonderful president to celebrate this symbol of our institution's friendship as well as our shared commitment to this special neighborhood. Not only are we thrilled to be building a new ballpark with our neighboring teams and for all of our neighboring teams, but we could not be happier to provide more space. It's not just for us, Father Monin. It's for the youth of Dorchester and South Boston to be able to play as well. So your field will be used by quite a few of us for so many wonderful things.
But my hope is that the sound of the bat, that's so irresistible to us at Fenway Park, will echo through this field and will call further together the academic communities of BC High and of UMB, but especially that it will call together the youthful neighborhood communities of boys and girls who are awaiting it so eagerly.
I can't wait to put those shovels in the ground. Thank you.
2-2 pitch, swung on and missed.
Kyle Strowski from Agawam, Massachusetts. I'm a senior here at UMass Boston. I'm a marketing major. Probably have to say my favorite moment was my no-hitter my freshman year. Being a freshman, especially just making a statement right away. Seeing the reactions on the seniors' faces. It was something that was a lot of fun to be a part of. you want to play and you want to compete for championship every year.
Head coach Christina Ball, coach, in a game like this where you lead comfortably for most of the game, you get a chance to play some of those players who haven't seen as much time. Who are some players who maybe earn themselves some more chances, some more time in future games because of their play tonight?
I would say Whitney Fulton. That's a loaded question, but I'd say Whitney with her speed. She's starting to really show some composure in practice, and the more she picks up the defensive part of the game at this level, the more I think she can help us on both sides of the ball.
This was one of those games where you would have liked to have executed better, but how much of that is getting some of those younger players out there, maybe some players who haven't seen as much time together on the floor, where you have some of those sloppy turnovers or defensive breakdowns?
Yeah, super important. You know, we did play with the lineups a lot in the fourth quarter, you know, just trying to see who can give us minutes in what capacity, because we definitely have kids that can do different things. So, you know, another one, Kalilah Hall played, you know, she didn't play a lot, but she does a lot of little things. She reminds me of Katie. So just trying to see who kind of fits in what style and with who else needs to be out there on the floor.
Looking ahead to Saturday, you get the defending LEC tournament champions. Obviously, it's going to be a big one, your LEC opener. Probably an even bigger one for Lydia, her first trip up back to Keene. Yeah. Can you give us a brief preview of that game?
You know, this game really segues into the next game where we have to defend the three-point line. They run a lot of flares, a lot of handoff ball screens, similar to Fitchburg. So I'm not sure. I mean, we defended the three-point line pretty good. I didn't want them to get more than 7, so they were 7 of 25. We're going to have to do that again on Saturday, run a little better, rebound a little harder.
Coach, thanks for your time. The Beacons, with a 4th consecutive victory, will head back up top, look at the highlights from that second half, and then bring you the final numbers here from the Clark Athletic Center.
Thank you, Seth. Always great hearing from you down low. We're going to shoot it to the highlights here. Obviously, a ton of highlights from a lot of different players. You see Raven Kelsey, a great game for the Beacons today. Finds the bottom of the net right there. Fitchburg countering with a 3. Couldn't get enough of those today, but Whitney Houston off the bench. Coach just mentioned her. Great job behind the arc, and the Beacons played very good today. A lot of three-pointers. Beacons got a little sloppy late, and Fitchburg got a couple transitional baskets off that, but obviously it comes back to being the UMB three-pointer late. A great game for UMass Boston, and a great second half. A lot of different people scored. Seth's back with us. Great interview, Seth. Obviously, Coach Ball had a lot to say about this weekend. Can you run us through what she was kind of talking about down there?
Well, I think the biggest thing, and she's going to downplay it, and Lydia's going to downplay it, but Steve, I think anytime you're playing your former team, and especially Lydia Vital, not to go too much into it, there's no bad blood between Lydia Vital and Keene State. It was solely a matter of things not completely working out, and she joined UMass Boston. The Beacons are happy to have her, but there's going to be some mixed emotions for Lydia. Certainly she had a lot of success there. All-defensive team member as a junior, player who started every game, part of a historic run. So it's kind of like senior day, where you never know what you're going to get, because she might come out and might have one of her best games and might come out and struggle. She might turn the ball over. She's going to be playing players who know her tendencies, but she's also going to know the tendencies of Keene State. So be interesting to see how she plays, and it'll be really interesting to see how UMass Boston plays on the road, the toughest team they played this year on the road, because Colby was a neutral site game. And this Keene State team, despite the record, they're going to want to come out hungry. They had a really successful year a year ago, and they still have some pieces. Sandy Purcell is a very good guard. They have some good bigs. It'll be interesting to see how UMass Boston does in that one, and they need to execute better. I think Coach said it. UMass Boston has to rebound better. They have to stop turning the ball over as much as they did today, and they have to maybe push the pace a little bit more in certain points.
And something to look at is you definitely can't win the Little East Conference in the first couple games, but you can lose it. And going in with these 2 games, obviously they have Rick next week and Keene State this week, a very big game on the road, and that could turn the tables later in the season.
Certainly, a 2-0 start would mean the world to this team because they're so young. An 0-2 start might be a little bit tougher on a young group, so got to win on Saturday. It'll be a very interesting game to see the results. Right now, we'll take a look at the final stats. UMass Boston with another win, 5-1 now in the season. Fitchburg State falls to 3-3. Beacons end up shooting 42% from the game, hold Fitchburg State to 30%. Fitchburg State was at 23% at the half, so a significant improvement. UMass Boston shooting 40% from beyond the arc, and one of their best performances from the line this year, 76.5%. Steve, the one thing that really stands out is the turnovers. This UMass Boston team had been so good, averaging just about 12 a game. 22 turnovers is a little bit high, although we did talk about those different lineups, those younger players.
Yeah, different lineups and different faces. I think especially with the starting group, the core five, they do a better job of handling the ball. I mean, we saw 13, 14 different girls tonight kind of running with the ball tonight. So I think that definitely contributed with it. But such a great team win, and you really need that going into conference play.
Take a look at the leaders. Joey Grassi, surprisingly to me, leads the team with 14 points. It was not one of Joey's better games in terms of making a huge impact, but still 14 on the day. 13 from Raven Kelsey, who had one of her best games. Raven shot 5 of 8 from the field, 3 of 3 from distance to go along with 6 points. Good news for a player who struggled with her shot. Katie Matthew with 7 rebounds. Lydia Vital, 7 assists in back-to-back games. On the other side, Angelina Marazzi, very strong with 17. Malbouf had 9 in the first half, just 5 in the second. And McTomney with those 8 rebounds.
And Katie Matthew, I mean, I think she's the unspoken hero tonight. Very good under the boards and just blue-collar play, snagging those offensive rebounds and putting them out for baskets.
Kalilah Hall also added 9 points for UMass Boston in the second half alone. Right now, we'll take a look ahead for UMass Boston. They'll be back at home on Tuesday against another team from the MASCAC. This time it's the other FSU. It's Framingham State. The team picks number 1 in the MASCAC. That'll be a 5:30 start. It's part of a doubleheader. The men's team will host Pine Manor College at 7:30. And then 2 conference games, the lone 2 of first semester, Saturday at Keene, next Saturday at home against Rhode Island College. I'd like to take a moment to thank our crew doing a great job tonight. My name is Seth Orensky, joined by Steve Witkowski on the call, Anthony Searles, Rachel Maslak, and Alex Carasoto running everything up top. Our camera operators, it's a softball-only crew, Drew Washington, Cassidy Gaeta, and Gianna Salimi. Thanks so much, folks, for watching, and we hope you enjoyed it. UMass Boston wins it running away as the Beacons move to 5-1 in the